In this video, we're talking about complementary and supplementary angles, how they deal with geometry. So by definition, two angles are complementary if they sum to 90 degrees. So complementary angles are those that sum to 90 degrees. Okay, they add to 90. Traditionally, they're just two angles that add up to 90, but potentially can be more than just two angles. So complementary angles add up to 90. Supplementary angles, on the other hand, sum to 180 degrees. Okay, you can remember this. C alphabetically comes before S. 90 numerically comes before 180. So complementary angles go to 90. Supplementary angles go to 180. Or learn it straight away. You don't have to remember anything. You just know it. So here we have a problem where we're given that A and B are complementary angles. So complementary angles, we can draw this if we like. We know that complementary angles add up to 90 degrees, so let's make sure that we have a 90-degree angle. Okay, so there's two of them, so I'm going to separate into two. Here's angle A, here's angle B. Angle A has 3x plus 7 degrees as its measure. Angle B has 2x plus 3 degrees as its measure. So, by definition of complementary angles, the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B equals 90 degrees. So now let's do some substitution and solve this equation. So once you find x, we can figure out the measure of angle A. So A is 3x plus 7 degrees, B is 2x plus 3 degrees, and that all has to add up to be 90. So combining like terms over here, we get 5x plus 10. Subtracting to the other side, 5x equals 80. Dividing both sides by 5, x becomes 16. So the measure of angle A is 3 times 16 plus 7. 3 times 16 is 48. 48 plus 7 is 55 degrees. So the measure of angle A is 55 degrees. Which means the measure of angle B is 35, but we're not asked about that. Measure of angle A is 55 degrees. Complementary angles are those that add up to 90. This next one, angle J and angle R, are supplementary angles. So that means that the measure of angle J plus the measure of angle R has to be 180. Supplementary. So let's do our geometry, or now do our substitution. J is 2/3 x plus 40. And R, it happens to be 1/2 x plus 35. And we have to add these up. Add them to get 180. So let's combine our like terms. 2/3 plus 1/2. Let's do that over here. 2/3 plus 1/2. We know we have to add fractions with a common denominator. So the common denominator between 2 and 3, the smallest number that both of these divide into, is going to be 6. Now we have to do appropriate. So 2 times 3 gives me 6. So the top is going to be 4. 4/6 reduces to 2/3. That's the same fraction. 1/2 is the same as 3/6. So now I can add 4/6 and 3/6 and get 7/6. So that's what I get when I combine 2/3 and 1/2. 7/6 x. A plus 40 and 35 is 75 equals 180. Let's subtract the 75 from both sides. 7/6x equals 105. So now we're left with a fraction equals a number. So I tell my students to get rid of a fraction, you multiply by the denominator. So multiply both sides by 6, and that gets rid of our fraction. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 1 times 7 is just 7. So multiply both sides by 6. So we have a 7x on the left side, and 6 times 105 is 630. And then we divide both sides by 7, and x turns out to be 90. So 90 is the value of x. Our question says, what is the measure of angle R? So let's plug it into the angle R equation. The measure of angle R is 1/2 of 90 plus 35. Half of 90 is 45, so that's a 90, not a 96. Plus 35, 45, and 35 is 80 degrees. So the measure of angle R is 80 degrees. Okay, so yes, we have some tricky fractions in here, but whenever you have a fraction equals a number, you multiply by the denominator. Okay, that effectively crosses out the denominator, and you're left with the numerator. Okay, don't cross everything out, just the denominator. Okay, and these ones are some of my favorite problems. The measure of angle W is 18 degrees more than twice its complement. So you have to remember, complement means add up to 90. So we're talking about two angles that add up to 90. Okay? One of them is angle W. And the other is his friend, the complement. So we have two angles. One of them is the given angle, angle W. The other one is the complement of angle W. So the equation says 18 degrees more than twice its complement. So if we had 2 complements plus 18, more than is addition. So 2c plus 18 is the equation for angle W, and the complement must just be the single variable, c. Twice its complement. That means complement has to be variable too. And here we have our algebraic equation that we need to solve. So 3c's plus 18 equals 90. 3c's equals 72. Divide both sides by 3. That equals 3 goes into 7 2 times, 24. So the complement is 24 degrees. 90 minus 24 happens to be 66 degrees. I hope. Yes, 66 degrees. So that is the measure of angle W. Okay, we could have plugged 24 back in here, 2 times 24 plus 6, 18. Or, because we know the complements are 90 degrees sums, so if this is 24, the complement has to be 90 minus 24. So W is 66. So remember, anytime you have these problems, there are two angles that add up to give you the complements. One of them is your given one, and one of them is just the variable. Two angles. In this one, measure of angle C is 24 degrees less than 5 times its supplement. So supplement, we remember, means it has to add up to 180. So we have two angles that add up to 180. The first angle is angle C, and the second angle is the supplement to angle C. Okay? So if angle C were 100 degrees, its supplement would be 80, the number that adds up to 100. If angle C were 170 degrees, the supplement would be 10. Okay, so there's two angles that add up to 180. So in this case, 5 times its supplement less 24. So rather than using S, I'm going to use X. So 5x minus 24. Less than always comes after, because you have to have a quantity before you can have less than it. So 5x minus 24 means the supplement is just the value x. Single variable, and then the relationship. So combining like terms, we're going to have 6x minus 24 equals 180. Adding 24 to both sides, 6x equals 204. Dividing both sides by 6, x equals 36. 6 goes into 23 times. the remainder of 34 times. X is 34. So the measure of angle C is 180 minus 34. The supplement is 34, so that means this is 146 degrees. Okay, so these are kind of tricky. You have to make sure that you have two angles. There's the equation for an angle, and then there's the supplement. Okay, there's the angle, and then there's the supplement. Okay, they have to add up to 180. Make sure you remember that there's two angles whenever you have these problems. Okay? And you should do fantastic as long as your algebra comes out to be right.